Hi, welcome to Moo Math. Today we are going to learn 7 tricks with fractions. So this video covers all 7 of those. Okay, trick number 1, the crisscross method. Okay, this is an easy way to add 2 fractions without really working too hard to find a common denominator. Okay, the first step you're going to take is you're going to multiply your denominators together. 4 times 6 is 24. So you're going to get 24. Now you're going to use what we call the crisscross method. To get the numerators, you're going to take 6 times 3. You're going to crisscross 6 times 3 and get 18. And then take 4 times 1 and get 4. And then just add the numerator, which is the top, to get 22. Add the denominator. Bring the denominator over, and that's 24. And then it just reduces to 11/12. And that is our final answer, 11/12. So that's the crisscross method. Okay, so now some people don't like that because it just has shortcuts and you may not be learning the actual reasons for everything. So let's do the more traditional method to add 2 fractions. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're just going to multiply the denominators again, 4 times 5 to get 20. So we're multiplying 4 times 5 and getting our 20. Now, what we need to do is we need to figure out our multipliers. So I take 20, which is my new denominator, and I divide it by this original denominator, so 4. So that means for my first fraction, I'm going to have to multiply by 5, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the second fraction. I take 20, but this time I'm dividing by 5, and my multiplier is 4. So I'm going to have to multiply my second fraction by 4. Okay, once I multiply those, notice my denominators end up both being 20. So that's fine. I've got 20 in my denominator, but my numerator becomes a 10 plus a 12. So now I'm just multiplying these together to get my numerator, and that becomes 22 over 20, which reduces to 11/10, or if you want to change that to a mixed number, 11 divided by 10, it goes 1 whole time with 1 remaining, and that is my final answer as a mixed number. So that's a more traditional way of doing it. Okay, now let's look at the third trick. The third trick looks like this. It's the KCF, which is the keep it, change it, flip it method. And you use this to divide fractions. So let's say we have 2 fractions. I've got A divided by B, A over B, which is a fraction, divided by a second fraction, C divided by D. Okay, you're going to use the keep it, change it, flip it. You're going to take the first term and you're going to keep it. So that's what the K stands for, keep it. So A over B stays the same, we keep it. Okay, the C stands for change. You're going to change from division to multiplication. And then flip it, it's just taking the reciprocal of our fraction C over D, and it becomes, the flip part becomes D over C. Now from here, you just multiply straight across. You end up with A times D over B times C, and that would be your final answer. So I'm going to do a quick example with numbers. Okay, let's say you're taking 1/2 and you're dividing by 3/4. Okay, to keep it, change it, flip it, I keep the 1/2, I change the division to multiplication, and I flip the 3/4 to 4/3. Now I multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I just reduce that final answer by 2 to 3 2/3. So reducing, I'm just dividing both the top and the bottom by a common factor of 2/3, or 2. And my answer is 2/3. So that's how I use trick 3, the keep it, change it, flip it rule for dividing 2 fractions. Now let's look at our trick number 4. We are going to look at knowing some lingo, some terms in fractions. Okay, what is a vinculum? Vinculum. That is this little line between your numerator and your denominator. So the top we call a numerator. The bottom we call a denominator. And the bar in the middle is called a vinculum, or vinculum. And so now you know the word for that bar that is between the two numbers when you divide. Just a quick little tip for you. Okay, let's look at trick number 5. This is the ladder method. Okay, this is very useful when we are given two numbers and we're trying to find either a greatest common factor or a least common multiple. Okay, this is how it works. It's really pretty easy. Some people call it the cake method also. Okay, I'm going to write my terms down. The two terms I'm working with are 16 and 24. And I'm going to draw like a little bar underneath it, okay, like a sideways L. And I'm going to look at both of these two numbers and come up with a prime factor that it divides into both of those. A prime factor is 2. So let's divide by 2. So I'm going to take 2 into 16 and I'm going to get 8. I'm going to take 2 into 24 and get 12. Then I'm going to make a new layer. Okay, what's another prime number that goes to 8 into 8 and into 12? Well, 2 goes again. Remember, we're looking for a prime factor, so we want these to be as small as possible. So 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Bring that little bar down again. Okay, what's another prime factor that goes into 4 and 6? 2 goes a third time. 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Now, I don't have another prime factor, so I'm just going to put a little 1 here. Okay, so what do I have left? Let's see. On this left side, these 3 prime numbers, okay, I'm going to multiply those together. So 2 times 2 times 2, in this case times 1. So that is 8, and that is my greatest common factor. That's how I find my GCF, or my greatest common factor, that divides both into 16 and 24. Now, to find my least common multiple, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this column of prime numbers plus my remainder, and I'm going to multiply all those together. So I'm going to get 2 times 2 times 2 times, in this case I'd have just a 1, but times 2 times 3. So I'm multiplying all of these plus all of these. So I'm making that L. And I'm going to multiply this together. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. And that is my least common multiple. And that's how you use the ladder or the cake method to do that. Okay, let's look at the next trick. This is called the circle trick. And when do we use the circle trick? When we have what we call a mixed number. That means a number with both a whole number and a fraction with it. We're turning a mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the denominator. And we're going to multiply in a circular direction. So I'm going to take 2 times 3. I'm going to multiply that first. Then I'm going to take that result and I'm going to add the numerator or the top to it. So this one's going to be 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1, which is 7. So that's my new numerator, all divided by, and I just keep my denominator a 2. So 3 1/2 converts to 7/2. Let's do one more of those. So multiply first and then add. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14, all over 3. And that is 4 2/3 converted to an improper fraction is 14/3. So that's my little circle trick to convert. Okay, the last page. This is trick 7. And this trick is really just a memory concept. You need to be very, very familiar with these. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. If you can be familiar with these 12 fractions and what their decimal equivalents are like, this gives you a good number sense. It gives you a good sense of where numbers should fall between the values 0 and 1. All these fall between 0 and 1. So the best thing I can tell you is just, if you're having trouble, get some flashcards. Make some flashcards. Go on Quizlet. Make a Quizlet reminder of these, and actually that may even be on Quizlet. But just getting really familiar with 1/4 is 25.25. The way I remember all the ones that have the denominator of 4, I always think of quarters. If I have 1 out of 4 quarters, isn't that 25 cents? If I have 3 out of 4 quarters, isn't that 75 cents? So that's a good way to remember your quarters. Okay, half is 0.5 or 50 cents, half a dollar. For these, 1/5 is 0.20 because it takes 5 20s to make a whole. And then that's just that doubled. So 1/5 and 2/5 is just that doubled. Now my thirds. Thirds kind of fall into another family. 1/3 is just 0.333 repeating. So that's 1/3. But 2/3 is just that doubled. So what do you think 2/3 is going to be? 0.666 repeating. It will be just the 0.3 pattern doubled. Okay, 3/5 is just adding another 0.2 onto the 0.5, or another 0.2 onto our second fifth. So 1/5 is 0.2, 2/5 is 0.4, 3/5 is 0.6. So 4/5 is going to be 0.8. We're adding 0.2s every time. So that may be helpful for you. Now the eighths are a little bit trickier to remember. 1/8 is 0.125. Then that one plus another quarter gives us 0.375, 5/8, 0.625, and 7/8, 0.8785. Okay, those are the trickiest ones to remember, are those ones that are eighths. So get comfortable with these. Maybe even start just memorizing them here, trying to write a pattern, and then going over here to the other side, trying to write that pattern, getting comfortable with what those values are to give yourself a sense of where they fall between 0 and 1. That way, when you see some whole number like 5.375, you know that that's really 5 3/8. And you can convert that over. Okay, so those are your 7 memory tricks to remember. Hope this video is helpful and use this website.